This is broke Lary. Last week he was a digital lender selling lines on a screen to iPad kids. And true to form, he blew every cent on a premium subscription for an AI girlfriend. So Larry is back to eating sleep for dinner. But today he's leaving the internet behind. He's launching a physical food empire out of his mother's kitchen cabinet. And he's going to try to disrupt the multi-billion-dollar ice cream industry with 3 cheap ingredients and a freezer. The big dairy companies should be very afraid, or at least mildly amused. Most people assume selling ice cream requires a $3,000 machine and a dairy license, which is exactly the kind of thinking that keeps normal people poor and Larry richish. Larry doesn't have $3,000. Larry doesn't have $300. What Larry has is a stove, a whisk, and an unreasonable amount of confidence. So instead of buying his way in, he's going to bake his way in, using a trick pastry chefs have used for decades and street vendors have used for even longer. A stable whipped meringue base that mimics the texture of soft serve without needing a single drop of actual cream. It starts with an accident, like most of Larry's good ideas. He's trying to make frosting for a birthday cake nobody ordered, whips the sugar and egg whites a little too long, and notices the mixture has gone thick, glossy, and stiff enough to hold its shape upside down. He tastes it. It's sweet, airy, and weirdly familiar. Then it hits him. This is basically the texture of soft serve, not the taste exactly, but the mouth feels smooth, light, no ice crystals. He runs to the freezer, spoons a blob onto a plate, and waits 20 minutes. It doesn't turn into a brick, it stays soft. Larry has accidentally invented a business. Here's the mechanism, in plain English. Whipping sugar and egg whites together traps millions of tiny air bubbles inside a stable protein structure. That trapped air is what gives whipped meringue its lightness, and it's also what stops the frozen mixture from turning into a solid ice block. The air pockets interrupt ice crystal formation the same way that fat does in real ice cream. Swap in flour and milk rocks if you want an egg-free version, and you get similar structure through starch instead of protein. Either way, the science is the same. Trapped air plus stable structure equals something that freezes soft instead of freezing hard. Larry doesn't understand any of this. He just knows it works, and that's good enough for Larry. Next problem. Nobody hands over money for an ice cream in a sandwich bag. So Larry orders 100 clear plastic freeze tubes online for $2, the kind normally used for ice pops. He adds a drop of food coloring to make the batch look more expensive than it is. Fills each tube, twists the top, and lines them up in the freezer like tiny soldiers. Total spend so far, about $3 in ingredients, $2 in packaging, $5. All in, for 100 potential units, Larry has officially spent less on this business than he spends on energy drinks in a single afternoon. Larry doesn't bother with permits, business cards, or marketing plan. He grabs a cooler, packs it with ice, loads in 40 tubes, and walks to the business park bench he can find. He names the operation FakeCream.co. Because subtlety was never Larry's strength, within 20 minutes, curious kids are asking their parents for $1.50. Within an hour, Larry has sold out. No storefront, no staff, no soft-serve machine, just a cooler and enough audacity to call frozen frosting a business. Now, because Larry's brain runs on low battery most days, he almost top-dowed the whole operation on 2 days. He forgot that regular frosting style cream turns into warm sugar soup the second it leaves the freezer, and summer heat does not negotiate. His second batch started squirting within 10 minutes of setup, and panicked parents were not thrilled about handing warm sludge to their kids. Larry had to sprint home, refill the cooler with an actual ice blocks, and learn the hard way that logistics matter just as much as the recipe. If you're going to be an ice cream outlaw, Your cold chain has to be tighter than your business plan. Don't let your profits melt. Don't be a Lary. So while you're negotiating a 50-cent raise with your boss, broke Lary just posted an 1100% return on investment selling frozen sugar water to children at the local park. He is against all odds, officially a food truck tycoon, which means by tomorrow morning you have spent every cent of it on a gold chain for the neighbor's dog. That's broke Lary's ice cream loophole. $5 in, $60 out. Zero dignity lost. If you want to see what dump idea Lary tries next, hit subscribe because knowing Lary is going to be worse and somehow more profitable.